welcome to Vegan A Go Go. This is a vegan cooking show. My name is Jess, and today we're making some mushroom risotto. And I picked two kinds of mushrooms. I just have baby portobellos or baby bellas, and I also have regular white mushrooms. If you want to use full-size portobello mushrooms, you can just chop them up nice and thin. And you can use any amount of mushroom that you want. If you want less mushrooms, you could do maybe one kind of mushroom and only a half a pound. If you want to go full-on mushroom, do like a pound of each. But yeah, it just depends on your personal preferences. So I've got a couple of pans going here, and I'm going to start the mushrooms in this pan, but I'm going to switch them over to the other burner once they get started. I've also got a pot back here, I don't know if you can see it, and it's full of broth. There's about 6 cups of broth, and it's being kept on low heat, so we got nice and hot, so when we need to add that to our risotto, it'll be ready to go. So I'm going to put some of our mushrooms in here. And some other mushrooms. And you can use, you know, shiitake, you could use oyster, you name it. Should be good. I think that's enough for us. So I'm going to add a little salt. It's going to help pull out some of the moisture. So we're just going to let these kind of saute, cook down, and once they're cooked, we're going to just let them sit off to the side until we're ready to add them to the risotto. And in this big pan, I'm going to start some shallots. You could also use onions, just make sure that they're diced very small. And I'm going to start also the rice. So I've got about a tablespoon of oil, and these are my shallots. We're just going to cook these for about a minute or so because we just want to get them started. You could use some vegan margarine for this if you want. You don't have to use olive oil, or you could use both, maybe a little extra flavor. And I don't really want to brown these, I just kind of want to get them a little bit tender. That looks good. So I'm going to add my rice. So this is arborio rice. It's about 1.5 cups. We're just going to stir that in. And you want to coat the rice with oil. So if you need to add a little bit more oil, you can do that. And so we just want to coat it, and then you'll see that the grains will become a little bit translucent, and that's what we want. Right, just a little bit more olive oil. Okay. So it looks like our rice is pretty well coated with the oil. The edges are a little bit translucent. You can still see the opaque inner part. So we're going to start adding some of our liquid. And so for risotto, what you want to do is add your liquid in increments, and as you add the liquid, the rice will start to soak up and swell up, and then what you want it to do is release some of that really great creamy liquor that comes out of the rice. So we're going to start off with a little wine. If you are not fond of wine, or you can't have wine, you could just start with the broth. This just gives it a little bit more of a sophisticated taste to it. We'll start off with 1/2 cup. We'll put that right in there. We're just going to let the rice sort of soak this up. I just used a Pinot Grigio, like a nice dry white wine. It smells really good. And you're going to want to keep this on sort of like a medium-low heat. Mushrooms are looking good. Starting to give off a lot of that liquid. And you're going to want to keep that liquid because it's also going to help with the flavor. Really take the flavor all the way through the rice. So it looks like our wine is nice and absorbed, so I'm going to start adding some of the broth. And Broth should be nice and hot. I'm just going to add a couple ladles at a time. Okay. Just going to make sure that the rice is covered. And we're just going to stir that in. And for risotto, I've done this a couple of different ways. And what I found is that you don't have to constantly stir. Just kind of get the broth incorporated into the rice like this. And then you can just come back every couple of minutes and stir it. So you don't have to be here constantly messing with it. You can also just do a little pan shake. And that'll give you the same kind of effect as the stirring. So I'm about to add more liquid, and as you can see when I kind of pull back the rice, it leaves kind of an empty patch here. It doesn't really fill in. And also you can kind of see that a lot of the liquid's been absorbed. So we're going to go ahead and add a couple more scoops of the broth. And also my mushrooms are done cooking, so I just took them off the heat, and they'll be ready to add when we're all finished with the rice. So, okay, and we'll see you back here in a little bit. Our risotto is looking really good. It's nice and creamy. If you taste the rice, it's just a little bit al dente, which is just perfect, but not hard in any way. So what I'm going to do is add my mushrooms. And you can use anything in this recipe. If you want to do artichokes and spinach, or if you want to do like asparagus. If you even wanted to use mushroom broth, that would be delicious. If you find that, towards the end of the cooking that you're running low on broth, you can always switch out to water. Just make sure the water is hot, and then it'll still finish out the cooking process for you. And you could use low sodium broth if you want. We use low sodium broth. You may want to, just taste it, make sure you don't need to add more salt or anything like that. So I've also got some chives that I've chopped up nice and finely. We're going to add those in. And I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of some margarine. And if you don't want to add too much, you can just do like maybe 1 tablespoon. You don't have to add it at all. It still tastes great without. If you want to add more, you can add more too. So, all right, so we're just going to stir all this in together, and we're going to enjoy this for dinner. So hopefully you will make an attempt at some risotto in the future. It's not as hard as you think, and we enjoy making it. So if you'd like to check out the recipe, you can do that at veganagogo.com. And if you'd like to email us, you can email us at fans@veganagogo.com. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.